Welcome to episode 2 of the Scafol Survey Writing Solutions podcast. Today, I'm very, very lucky to be joined by Nina. Nina is a renowned podcaster and founder of Surveyors UK. Today, we're basically talking about Surveyors UK because it is your baby and you're very passionate about it. But also maybe touch on some residential surveying marketing tips and techniques possibly. But let's start with a brief introduction. Do you want to let our avid followers know who you are and what you do?
Yes, welcome avid followers, and thank you very much for asking me to join you, Rhodri. Really appreciate it. And so my name is Nina Young. I am the founder of Surveyors UK, which is a new membership platform for the UK surveying profession that we are currently in the process of rolling out at the moment. So yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Well, as I said, I'm very excited to have you on. Obviously, very new to this whole podcasting gig, but you're not. I've seen some much higher budget versions of podcasts than what this is. However, I no doubt you have some really good bits of information to share with the community as a whole.
I hope so.
Let's start at the beginning, though. Surveyors UK, how did it come about?
Yeah, it was an idea I had about over 3 years ago, and it started to evolve really from early days. I'd launched a student group, a student surveyor group on Facebook, and I realized that, and it took off, so successful. And, this members started to benefit from lots of things like finding mentors, getting answers to questions, even finding jobs. And I realized the value of that community, but then I had lots of people that said, I'm not on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. Could you set up a LinkedIn group? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So that was one side of it. So there was this community area, the demand, and that was for students, but we have got lots of surveyors on there as well. And then also, I do digital marketing for surveyors, primarily sort of building surveying, residential surveying, and I have done that for a number of years now. And so I get to hear a lot of the pain points from surveyors, and one of them was around, for example, CPDs. There's CPD requirements, and I sort of garnered over a long time lots of CPD out there. It's free. It's a lot of it. There's some really good stuff that's free, but like, where do you find it? Where do you go for it? Same with events. Same with lots of other things. So that was another sort of seed that was sown. But overriding more than anything else, I found that the surveying profession is very fragmented. I think it's very siloed. I think you have a number of professional bodies. So you've got obviously the global leader, the RICS, who is the main that everyone thinks about. But there are over 15 different types of professional bodies for surveyors. For example, you've got the Expert Witness Institute, you've got the Party Wall Institute, you've got CABE, Chat Association of Building Engineers, and lots of surveyors are members of more than one. All these professional bodies, they do great stuff, but they don't work together necessarily. And I wanted somewhere that would literally bring together the surveying profession into one place. Like, here it is, this is the surveying profession in the UK. And, I realized after the whole concept idea, how huge it now can be. But that's really where it came from. So many different pain points. And I think, in different types of surveying disciplines, because Surveyors UK is not just for one type. So we will be catering for all types of surveyor, from marine surveyors, antique surveyors even, commercial surveyors, residential, of which, again, there are so many different types of surveyor. So I wanted something to bring it together and put it into one place and bring together the professional bodies, bring together organisations, surveying firms, bring together communities, students, careers, universities. So it's like this central place, really. It's a very hard thing to describe in a very short few sentences.
Yeah, as I say, I'm only hoping the podcast to be half an hour long. But no, so on that then, you talk about the RICS. I mean, RICS have got a website, and I think I've had a conversation with you before about this, and you're not looking to try and replace the RICS website. You're not trying to become an institute like all the ones that you've mentioned. However, one of the things that I've experienced in the past to do with a lot of these institutes and websites is they're actually quite hard in terms of the navigation and functionality of it. So for example, what are the key features and functionalities that Surveyors UK has to effectively serve a surveyor? And why is it different to the likes? I mean, you go onto the RICS website, you search something, and I get all kinds of stuff about the surveying pathways that I'm interested in them, but they're not directly related to what I need. And it's very hard it's like looking for a needle in a haystack sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. But yeah, you're right in the sense of we are not, and never will be, a professional body, association, anything like that. We're very unique. We sit outside everybody, but we are working with everybody. And that independence is a really important point, because yes, I have had a lot of confusion over that. The difference is that what we're doing is, as part of the build, and there's a lot of functionality, and that's why it's taking time. But when you set up your own profile, when you become a member, you'll be able to opt in the areas and disciplines that you're interested in. For example, if you're a residential surveyor, you're going to tick the residential surveying box. Because what we're doing is we're also building the whole site around those areas. So for example, within the membership, there'll be options to look for CPD, and you can search CPD by residential surveying. There'll be news which will be categorised into residential surveying. There'll be a job board which will be categorised into residential surveying. So there'll be the consistent link to you as an individual where you can have information. The news side is something we're literally doing right now, and we're trying to build news with content from all sources. So from the professional bodies, from blogs, from news, using AI as well, so that you can literally get down the line, we'll have tailored news for what you're interested in. And the search functionalities, it's all around the tags, it's customized to that. So yes, there are, the RICS and other professional bodies, it is hard to find information. And it's finding information that's relevant to you. Because if you get a newsletter and it's got, you're a residential surveyor, you're not necessarily interested in marine surveying. There will be those articles, you might be, but it's not relevant. So that's kind of one area that we're really focusing on. And we're also looking at things that are more relevant and giving more opportunities for surveyors to get access to information they wouldn't normally, like another one's events. So we'll have a directory of events. So again, that'll be based around categories: residential surveying events, local meetups, national conferences, online events. We'll be pulling those in, so things will be pushed to you, and that you can find in your own dashboard. You can go into the site, save things that are relevant to you, that are of interest, but you can search within your own area, which you can't do anywhere else.
No, and that's the key thing, isn't it? I mean, I'm going a little bit off piece in regards to something where it's relatable, but I mean, I'll always relate back to Scafol because it's a needless plug. But so when you do a survey, effectively, any software writing solutions has just a massive backlog of paragraphs. Yeah. What Scafol has is, it's at the very beginning, is you basically say where you're at. So you'd say, I'm at a cavity block house. And what it does is it gets rid of all the irrelevant information, so you don't have to sift through it. And effectively, that's what you're saying this would offer, is you'll have a particular area or discipline that you're focusing on within your role of whatever it is you do: marine, antique, residential. Yeah. And then a lot of the information is directed in that direction, which is awesome, because like I say, you go onto the RICS. I love RICS, don't get me wrong, I'm not slating RICS in any way whatsoever. No. But if you go into the RICS website and type in something like, standards for requirements for X, Y, or Z, you'll get about 12,000 documents and related search links come up. And then you've still got to sift through that to find what it is you're actually looking for. So to have that central place that kind of brings everything together, but filters out the relevant stuff that will benefit me as a residential surveyor, should we say? Yeah. But yeah, no, exactly that. It almost,
it's quite a task. It's quite a task, because to categorize things can be quite challenging. When you look at sort of certain areas of specialism or interest, like asbestos, for example. You've got all those CPD categories, and you don't want to narrow it down too much, because there's so much crossover. Like, certain surveyors will be interested in Japanese knotweed or spray foam, not just residential. So it's kind of being careful not to filter it out too much, but make it relevant. And that's the challenge right now. So we're going to keep it quite high level, at a high level sort of discipline level, and then gradually we'll be able to then filter it. But it's a mammoth task to coordinate all those different sources.
Oh, I can imagine.
Categorize it all down, and it'll just evolve. We'll just tweak it as it
But
goes on.
I guess that's the benefit of having multidisciplinary portal. Well, that was a posh sentence, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
But
very.
effectively, you can filter it to an extent, but you still want to make sure that where there are relevant crossovers. So you might have a damp survey section, but you don't want to filter that out from the residential one, because although they're technically different disciplines, because if you ever have a level 2 survey, someone will say seek a specialist damp survey,
Yeah,
but you still want the residential surveyor to have access to that fountain of information
well,
that
gotcha.
the damp surveys have. So you want to create a crossover to a point where it's relevant, and that in itself will be the hard kind of task.
But that's
But
also the
I have
beauty
no
of it
doubt you're
all.
all
It's
over
that
it.
overlap. And yeah, and this is why there's just so much to it, because there is also that overlap, because you have a lot of residential surveys, for example, that actually do defect surveys, they do damp surveys, they do go on courses, for example, like organisations we want to be working with, like the Property Care Association. They do great training, and a lot of chartered surveyors will go on to them and they'll train with them because it's a string to their bow. And it's
Yeah,
like, so yeah, there is a lot of overlap.
nice. Looking so again, Scafol, for example, we're very
Mm.
keen to work with Surveyors UK. Yes, don't get me wrong, it's kind of us trying to promote ourselves,
Yeah.
but effectively it benefits your users,
Mm.
not having Scafol, but having people like Scafol, kind of promoting themselves and saying how they can effectively help your users. What kind of benefits, not just for Scafol, but what kind of benefits would your users or potential users kind of have with all your kind of partnerships, I guess is a word to
Partnerships and
use?
advertisers, yeah. So we're having literally, and then that scenario we're building right now, and we're onboarding people right now, and we're going to have a whole area where you'll be able to search products and services, anyone that provides anything for surveying, for surveyors, and it just doesn't have to be narrow. It could be even marketing services, but for example, software is a good one, insurance, equipment. So what it does is that what's really important with how our ethos behind all of this is going back to the unbiased element, but also it's a level playing field and it's choice. So we want a surveyor to land on the site. They can look at the different types of software. They can look at the different types of surveying panels, for example, and they can make an informed choice. But the point is they're getting information. But also what we're doing with all the people we're working with, companies we're working with, is we're discussing discounts and offers, so that when you can still see all the products and services when you land on Surveyors UK, but when you become a member, you get access to any discounts, offers, free trials, unique CPD that we basically agreed to. That's what members get access to. So they're benefiting, they sign up, we want them just to sign up and they'll just stay, because even just that area alone, you can benefit from all these different areas. And again, there's nowhere that's ever done it. We're talking to so many different organizations that want to get in front of surveyors, and there is nowhere that exists. So that in itself is quite a big thing. Plus, it's going back to choice. Lots of people, for example, with software, it's a really good example. They have different ways of working, and some surveyors are used to doing things their own way. But what they want to see is what's out there and what fits them. Because a lot of the software, for example, offerings, they offer different things. Some have different USPs. And it gives a surveyor a chance to go, okay, I could try that one out. I'll get a free trial. I'll get this discount, sign up to Surveyors UK, and find out information such as Scafol. And it gives them an informed sort of, a bit of information, because a lot of the time you don't know where they are, you don't know who they are. Where do you go to find out about all the different reporting softwares? There isn't anywhere.
No, and that's, part of my role at Scafol is trying to make brand awareness and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And honestly, it's such a hard task, because I think you said it earlier, the surveying community is very fragmented, and there's not really a central point. I mean, I love the idea of Surveyors UK, and it's something, like I say, Scafol is very keen to be involved on. Not because we want to say how much better we are than everyone else. I love the impartiality of it. The fact that it's just an opportunity to say, look, this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is how it works. And if this benefits you in any way, awesome. Why not have a look? Yes.
Mm.
And to offer some sort of incentive for your particular users. Again, we want to repay the use of that to both your clients, but also yourselves as well. So in regards to if you offer that, it increases people coming your direction. However, it's not because, again, Scafol's not better or worse than all the other surveying software out there. I mean, if you're honestly, surveying software is all the same stuff. It's a large collection of pre-formatted blooming paragraphs that you can change, amend, whatever. But it's how the kind of interface and usability differs. So we're not better, we're not worse, we're different. So if it suits you, awesome. And it's just having that ability to compare and contrast.
And to know about it.
Exactly. It's like comparing my market without driving down the prices of stuff, basically. From the product side of things. And I think it's a really, as a surveyor, taking my Scafol hat off, as a surveyor, it's something when I started my own company years ago, I wish I had access to, because it was very daunting when you're looking at, gosh, I've got to sort my insurance out. Where do I go? Gosh, how do I manage my terms and conditions, my terms of engagements? What's good to use? How do I, what kind of CRM should I use to manage my clients? And there's so many questions before you even think about doing a survey.
There's a lot, and we're going to have like business startup, guides, information from my own side, marketing, social media. There'll be that kind of thing, support. There'll be kind of, service opportunities and things like that. So it covers the whole broad spectrum of either being employed, how do you manage your LinkedIn profile, and there's lots of things that will be there in the content within the membership. So the value that this is the thing with Surveyors UK, people will benefit from it very differently. There'll be somebody that will just sign up just because they want to be part of some of the communities within the platform, because we're going to have a tech community so people can talk about software. It won't be a place for the software companies to all like spam and advertise, and we're not doing that. But if people want to discuss things, they want to ask about functionalities, you can ask questions, even if you're the software company or your surveyor. Why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? And it's like, it'll give that opportunity for people to just connect and chat about it.
Yeah.
You can't
and you know what, I love that. Again, being part of it. Scafol is very much an ongoing project, and every software company should be. Like just purely the platforms, like an Android phone or an Apple phone, they're constantly changing their functionalities and usabilities. And as a software company, you need to continually adapt to the possibilities and what you can offer. I love getting feedback. I've just started a newsletter for marketing. It's not marketing, it's for our like Scafol clients, where you get a newsletter. There's updates and RICs whenever they change some wording in a section. So we've explained that we've updated our section. I'll throw podcasts in there. You might show up on it one day. But it's just, I love getting that feedback. The only reason I did the newsletter was feedback from one of our clients saying, you should do this and update, because instead of me sending out emails every time there's a new functionality or something new to do with Scafol, a monthly roundup and a newsletter is awesome. And it just helps you connect with your kind of community as such, which actually leads me nicely onto my next point. Residential surveying marketing. Obviously, you're a bit of a guru on this side of things as well, as you've explained in the kind of birth of Surveyors UK. So, a bit of a deeper question. What would you say are the most effective marketing channels for reaching homeowners in the residential surveying market? And before you ask, yes, I did read that because it was a bit of a mouthful.
Right. I mean, we go back to basics. There are so many different ways, but it very much depends. And, one of them is, and commonly is, your estate agent relationships. That's just like there are some though that surveyors out there that's not something they want to do. You've got the whole debate, which I won't talk about, whether you have fees or not, your referral fees and things like that. That's, I'm kind of open-minded to either. But for me, it's that your relationship with your estate agents is like a number one, because if they don't want, I hear so many stories about estate agents, for example, that will go out their way to put someone off getting a survey. So if you've built up a really good relationship and makes it really clear, you're going in there very regularly to your local network, and it's like you're approachable, You can even have a chat with the estate agents and you communicate. And it's like, you're not there to make the sale fall through. I think that is like a fundamental thing that isn't done enough.
Yeah.
You know, and there's different ways of doing that. But even if you could even produce like a little leaflet or a guide, because there's also misunderstanding in education.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the
with
electric
that,
thing, in it, it's the electric, the red
oh,
electric on a report. Estate agents hate it because why is it red? And they don't understand. So then they'll moan about it and then they'll just spread that negativity. And it's like,
yeah.
talk to them, you know.
I was reviewing I always do it because I got a memory of a fish, but I always review the home survey standards, and I did it recently. You talk about the referral thing. I mean, Rick's stance is fairly clear on that. If you know, and I get that there is obviously a debate and
Yeah.
questionable conflicts of interest and such like
Yeah.
that, but ultimately, terms of engagements, as long as you state that is there, then the client is aware of it as such to a point. But I'm not going to
Mm.
delve into that because that's a podcast in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But I always found that when I do a survey, I work with the estate agents because you sometimes get people thinking a surveyor is going to go out there. Oh, they're going to clap. They've clapped. Don't buy this house. Don't buy this house.
Mm.
A
Mm.
purchaser wants that house. They've seen that house and they want it. And they're not having a survey as such to say, should I or should I not buy this? Effectively, from my point of view, they're having a survey to say, look, I want this house, but what needs to be done to this house to make it what I want? And how can I get from where it is now to where I want it to be? So it's all about having a conversation. It comes down to, again, the Rick's Home standards, where they talk about your transparency and your relationship with the clients post calls with a client. Once you've done that survey, explaining to them, answering their questions, making sure they're aware that, okay, yes, the electrics is 3. Don't be daunted by that. There's a reason for that, which is
Mm.
this.
Mm.
And having that conversation and not just giving a report which gives you findings, you can almost delve a little bit into the justifications behind your findings, why you've come to that, and explaining why something's a condition rating 2, why something's a condition rating 3, and help them get to the point where they are happy to buy that house with a full awareness of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
and that's my and you, as long as an agent understands that and they know that you're there to basically help that purchase. But the
Yeah.
client wants to buy it. They've made an offer. They've
That's
put
it.
hundreds of thousands of pounds on the line.
Yeah.
You know, they want that house. So
Yeah.
it's just, as a surveyor, my
I think it's an
opinion, and this might
opportunity.
greatly differ, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
there to help that process, not hinder. Don't get
They're
me
the
wrong.
first point of
Sometimes,
contact when someone's looking to buy and sell a house, aren't they? So
yeah,
you want to be in their minds, but in a positive way, not negative. But you know, marketing is all about awareness. It's about actually people knowing you exist. And there are different ways because the house purchase is only so often in someone's lifetime. So they don't think about surveyors. No one knows who surveyors are, really. You know, and they're like, what's a surveyor? And it's like I think there's this consistency. So there's a number of things. One is people, when they want a surveyor, they go to Google. 9 times out of 10, they'll Google. If you come up, to me, you've got to have a Google business page. The amount of surveyors that don't is absolutely astonishing. Doesn't help with your ranking. Reviews, get reviews. The amount of surveyors, you'll come up top surveyor near me, you will be top. Customers, always, if you've got 5 stars, even 4.5 stars, whatever you've got, reviews, if you're ranking, they will rank you up over time. That is credibility. People will then always, 9 times out of 10, especially in this day and age, they'll check your social media. If you've got social media, they'll go to a website or they'll go to your Facebook. If you have a Facebook page, and you know, you ideally do, make sure it's up to date. And if you're going to do social media, make sure you post regularly. The amount of times people will land on a Facebook page, a surveyor hasn't done anything, they had started to do it and nothing for a year, they're going to think you're not working anymore. Their perception, and they'll leave. They just leave. The seconds they'll go. And it's like, if you've got someone like Google reviews, you go to the Facebook page and they've posted a recent, you know, a survey and they've helped somebody, they're going to, great, get in touch straight away, make it easy to get in touch, make it really clear. Channels of communication, WhatsApp, Messenger, you need to offer these things because this is what people want. There was something I saw on a forum the other day about, for example, with your customers, it's kind of going off tangent, but this was where, you know, people change their appointment times or they don't turn, you know, they're not there at the time that you've booked with them. It's like, there's so much software out there that isn't expensive, like text reminders, get message reminders that say, just to confirm, we're going to be seeing you this afternoon or tomorrow, because that helps me with my own personal stuff. I've
Yeah.
really missed appointments, but I'm digressing. But there's so many different ways. But also, if you've got a website and you've got social media and someone clicks and they check you out on your website, make sure your website's up to date. Make sure your feeds on your social media come up on your website. It all needs to be joined up, and your brand
Yeah.
as well. Brand, I mean, I could go on. There's so many things. But it's that being aware. Post on local community groups. Don't promote yourself, but just comment.
Yeah.
And
That's
don't.
all I do on LinkedIn. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you talk about Scafol. I'm really bad
See,
salesman.
Facebook's better
Just
for your end user. This is the thing. I see a lot of surveyors, which
yeah.
is fine, post on LinkedIn. And don't get me wrong, there is always the opportunities for other businesses to refer, and everyone buys a house. Everyone, you know,
Where's your client base though? You're not going to
but your
find it on
client
LinkedIn,
base
are
is
you?
not primarily on LinkedIn, but surveyors post a lot about, I got this 5-star review, which is great. I get that. Peer-to-peer stuff, that's fine. But what you're benefiting from and how much time do you invest in that, and why aren't you on Facebook or other platforms? I mean, Instagram, I mean, there's some surveys on TikTok even, and I think that's increasing.
Yeah.
But to me, your
Millennials,
Facebook, your
millennials, isn't
Googles,
it? Yeah.
yeah, it's Googles, people Google, but that's what, and if you're not ranking on there, and people got to find you. So there's lots of different ways.
Perfect. Well, I mean, that's awesome advice. But I mean, so one last question. I'm aware
Yeah.
of the time. What advice, one top tip would you give to a firm, large, small, independent, to differentiate itself from competitors in the residential surveying market? So one top tip. Pressure. I haven't primed you for that
I
question.
personally think it would be, for me, the number one is communication.
Yeah.
So what I don't think surveys do enough of is it's a stressful time buying a house, and they're not the best at communicating. So when I'm talking about communicating, that can be through different mediums, messaging, emails, but it's when they've done the survey, get in touch with that client, give them a quick chat. I know surveyors like do this, and it's brilliant, because you put that at mind, you're communicating, you're reassuring, and they will wait for that report longer because you've had a chat with them, and they won't be hounding you. So it's like when, I think I said this on someone else, it's like when you're in a traffic jam, you sat there and it's stressful, and you can feel your stress going like this. This is like someone with,
Mine rises a lot quicker than that. Mine's more like that.
yeah. But as soon as you know, and someone puts like, there's a, like maybe one of the signs, like, I don't know, there's a cow in the road, something, you go, ah, and you just go like that because you know what's happening. So you'll wait and you'll chill out. And I think the one thing I would say is communicate, and plaster that everywhere. We will give you a call, or we will keep you up to date, and keep people up to date, whether even through a message, you could do it. I think that's what
it is. It's that managing expectations. Like you said, people knowing what, but also what that builds onto again is a fantastic reputation, and people recommending you to their friends,
and there'll be a review,
and then there'll be a review, and
yeah,
then there'll be another one, and it's a snowball effect, and effectively
it is.
before you know it, you've got a cracking reputation, and that's without even spending hundreds of pounds on websites and SEOs and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, that's what important, but
15-minute call.
takes,
Yeah, that's all it takes. So many people I hear, they say, I never heard from them. I just got this report through, and I was like, oh my God, panic. And then they pass it on to the estate agent, and it's like the estate agent stressed because the surveyor's giving all the buyer stress. And it's just like, if you just put people's mind and put things into context, you can talk about things, even follow up after the report, make you approachable. If you want a quick chat, just 15-minute chat, well, happy to 100%. Do that. Let's talk you through those things, because then that all feeds back, and the buyer will go to the estate agent, and they were brilliant. They were really good. I thought I was really good about the electrics, but now I know what it's about, you know. And then the estate agent gets to know this, and it just, you pass that good stuff on. So many times I hear surveyor goes out, barely any communication, they get the report through, and they're like, ah. And then it's just, you don't know what's happened, and they're the ones that don't ask for reviews, but you need to ask for reviews, because that just helps everything.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that draws us to a lovely conclusion. You've been amazing, as always, a seasoned podcaster, which was why I was really excited about having a chat with you. Thank you very much for your time today. I did have one question, actually, because I always ask for questions from the LinkedIn community. And a gentleman called Tim Kenny, who was previous on my podcast, has asked where you get the surveyor gauge crack from.
Oh, the crack gauge even.
Yes. I did send him a link. So
yeah,
but yes,
it's just if you go to Surveyors UK and you navigate to the product and services page, it's there. You know, they have just gone through the roof. We've had so many orders, over 100 now, I think.
There's going to be a load of Scafol ones coming soon. Don't worry.
Excellent.
Copyright nudge.
Well, that's it. I've been asked about that. Yeah, you can brand yourself, but hey.
No, we maybe off like that. But it's been amazing having you as a guest. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to working in partnership with Surveyors UK through Scafol in the future, and very excited to see what it develops into. So again, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thank you.